Hananane, hananane, wakianane yo. Hananane, hananane, wakianane no. Hanaki no nae no ne, hanaki no nae no ye. Waka hey, waka ha, hey yana ne ne yo ne. Hayaki o e nae no ne, hanaki o e nae no ye. Waka hey, waka ho, waha hey yana, hey no ne.
Straight up thought, know that they fight, know that they lose, know that they lose. Honor the king, follow the rules, known in the book, honor the light. How do they tell? Known in the people, they know they in hell. Picking up Zulu, hold up an hotel. Honor the feeling, they know that they have. This is the life, the moment is given, the moment is right. I'm a fulfilling in order for sight. I'm an alien, know that that's right. I'm a king, on a ring. Know when I see it, the feel the phone ring. And y'all know, I'm a lead, I'm a see. If you see it in my case, I'm a queen.
You want to know what the time's looking like? Excuse me, one and all. It is time for Wake the Farm Up! We're down here waking up on the farm, on the homestead right now. We got sunlight shining through the windows. Honeyberries are flowering right outside. I could even walk outside and feel the grass between my toes this morning, and it was comfortable. Felt good. Springtime, and down here, springtime is waking up. We're waking up here in southeastern Indiana right now. We got a special guest coming out here. Oh, look at you all out here. We got people up in the balconies. We got people down in the tea lounge. The tea lounge is really busy this morning. They must be serving up some good morning tea. You gotta check that out. There's coffee carts going around. You know, make sure you check them out and talk to them. There's some of the people there that are, you know, it's all fair trade, you know? You trade fairly and it's all cool and you can have that, you know, it's cool. So, you know, wake the farm up. We got Divine Elohim today coming in from Oregon, passing through on a journey. Here we go. Let's see what happens after we... you want to go down to the tea lounge for a minute? Yeah, Divine, you want to go down there for a little minute? We'll go down to tea lounge and then we'll come back up on here and we're going to blow this morning up. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a beautiful morning.
Gotta come right up under you.
You know what's up. We've had a 3-dog night here. There's been coyotes howling with this smiley moon that we've been having.
Chill out, buddy.
We got the birds, they're out singing, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful spring day.
Yes. Over at the compound, Indiana's finest. Nice little permaculture sanctuary. Definitely giving thanks. It's divine Elohim. Just getting some vitamin D right now. Sun blazing out here. Had a nice little night with the elf man. Now we just chilling, chillaxing.
Yeah, we was like catch up. Last night it was like super catch up. We've been, on these journeys, and it's beautiful. Those times when you can reconnect with somebody you haven't seen in days and years, and it's just like right there. Here we are, like, yep.
Synchronized.
We've been building things and growing things and
all coming back. Yeah, coming back and flow. Yeah, like I was telling them, I just feel like everything was still the same heartbeat, the same pace when we were on our raw food quest, and we were more dealing with zeal. But now we got our kids and taking care of our families, and I'm migrated to the West Coast, so it's just been a great, nice little transition. I came back to see my aunt for her 68th birthday in Cincinnati, the Midwest, and lo and behold, I'm like, got some time, freed up time in my head space to do some work. So I'm like, let's come out to the land. So I'm honored to be here, come and see some land, get off the city grid, because I don't really love the city. I live in the mountains now, but it's good to be out in these parts of the woods, forest, and see how everything is still, percolating with the farm and the homestead and the food. But yeah, everything is good. Just getting tuned in. I'm about to head up to New York and get my microdose products out called Cosmic Dose, and start getting some more sacred plants out to the people, just who's dealing with a lot of things in that 3D reality. So
that's amazing.
Life is good. Life is great.
Yeah, you've told me a bit about your farm. I'd love for you to share with us about your farm and like your homestead there, and kinds of things you guys are growing and producing, and things that like
what's going on,
maybe how that got started a little bit.
I could give you
where you're at.
Whole vision of the start to finish in the last 10 years. We've been doing a lot of work with setting intentions and prayers. So basically in 2012, I went to a fire ceremony over in Mount Shasta, and at that time I just finished writing a book called Survival in the 21st Century, and also a spoken word manuscript called Me Manifest Evolve. And when I went to the fire ceremony in Shasta, I met some medicine people, and obviously it was more about spreading the information about what's going on, where certain pockets of land and people and communities that are doing things with food that are in my line of like what we would say my lifestyle. So we always was like, wow, let's move somewhere if the opportunity presented itself. So Ashland came up on the radar, and when Ashland came up on the radar, I was speaking to my wife, and I was like, I think we're gonna go to Ashland one day. And I'm like saying it for like 3 months, and she was like, I don't know where that's at, and
it's on the radar.
And I'm like, it's actually over in the Northwest Pacific, and they say it's a spot called Williams that's known for like permaculture, and Ashland is in a county where it's GMO free. So, and I was like telling my wife we should go. So make a long story short, 2012 came, and I bought a little house and rented it out, and was doing some works with some THC, because it was legal in that area. And we had this like joke that if the world came to an end, we would move up to Ashland. So I brought my Dutch hippie friends from Amsterdam with us, and they were pregnant. And then I brought up the family, and the family loved it. We actually stayed there for a week at the beginning of the year, and then obviously within that week, that summer of that 2012 year, we all moved up from Miami to Oregon. And when we moved to Oregon, I went to this Santo Dame temple and church that they had up there. So when I went there, I was exposed to just people that I was like, oh, they don't look like me, obviously, but I'm like, maybe spirit can give me some messages. So on the ayahuasca and DMT, Mystery was the name of the spirit elder that set up the temple for the Santo Daime. He was like, I'm gonna show you some things in the next, week or so to stay open to, the signs and the process. And after we did the Santo Daime ceremony for 14 hours, obviously I was still up in charge, and I told my wife, I was like, yeah, ceremony went well, supposed to see some things. And a friend of mine, Pedro and Michelle, they were like, oh, it's some land over in Montague that you should come and purchase or check out, Divine. And I was like, all right. Montague is right over the actual the I-5 North Cali area, right next to Wairika, not Eureka, but Wairika, which is the gold city.
Okay.
So
Wairika? Yeah,
Wairika. It was known for gold mining, and a lot of miners and settlers stayed there, and they used to find a lot of gold in the Klamath River. But make a long story short, came and saw the land that actually was potentially ours, and I saw 2 eagles fly over the land, and it was a great sign. And when I saw the eagles, it was more like, oh, okay, this is a sign that obviously the animals are here, and eagles represent, teachers and guides. But the homestead, which was 17.9 acres, had 2 wells. It was like, it felt at home. So I put some money up, and I had my little money stash, because I've been doing a lot of like moving around with plants. And actually the opportunity presented itself where the previous owners, they were like, you want to do an owner carry? And I was like, yeah, no banks involved. He was like, nah, we looked at your profile on...
Wait, what's owner carry?
Owner carry is like...
Is that like where you can carry a gun on your own property?
Owner carry is when you have property and you don't have to have anybody, the banks are not involved. They'll carry the note for you, and you just pay them cash.
Yeah.
Or you pay them however you can, but you have to set up a whole agreement to pay off. And at that time, it was $225,000.
Is that also known as a land contract?
Yeah,
different?
Land contract, but yeah, owner finance. Owner finance is the term that they use. But so they offered it up, the Borgers. They had looked at my profile on Facebook, and they saw something that I had on. Back then, we still had can't even remember. It was like the little message one that you could get some messages from, and they were like, oh, you wrote up this article about self-sustainability, and if the government was running things, you wouldn't deal with the government. And they was like, yeah, you're perfect for the spot. Like, we're gonna give it to you and your family. My grandfather was a homesteader. He died here. And he was like, they was like, we'll love for you to bring that energy to the table. So we got the place in 2013. Obviously, when we got the place, we weren't really into like doing much. We were just like, we got a place, that's trial and error. At first we were like, what do we want to do?
What do we do with it?
Yeah, so me and my wife just always had these back and forths about, let's have people on the land, let's bring people out. So in all honesty, around 2016, like 3 years later, we started doing these retreats called Shasta meditation retreats. And my wife was like, all right, I'll head up the campaign. And she was like, I could get people to come from different cities. So we start offering people to come out on the land. And what we would do, we'll just sort of say, like, this is our experience. You build it, they would come. So we would take them to the hot springs, Stewart Springs. We'd take them to the headwaters of the Sacramento River. And we would take them to Shasta Mountain, which is the grandfather mountain over that way, known as the root chakra of the planet. So people were like digging it, but we lived in front of this black mountain that we could see literally a half a mile down the road, on top of a mountain, in front of a mountain that was known for natives to have wild boars. And we start saying, all right, instead of us projecting that people need to come, we're gonna start saying people need to get land in our area, because we were in a special area. And that's how we started building up our homestead. So we started with dogs first.
Yeah.
We got some goats, and then we got some chickens. And then like when 2020 came around, obviously 2019, 2020, COVID, we were like, oh, we're not gonna stay in Ashland anymore. We're gonna just root up and stay on our land. So we had made quite a bit of money through just the transition from COVID into you know, doing our retreats, but they started putting these mandates on people coming and having to show all these credentials to get on the planes.
To come to the retreat.
Yeah, so we started saying, no, we ain't gonna do that no more. We're gonna make it very private.
You're gonna retreat from retreating.
So we just was like, let's get in tune with ourselves. Me and my wife was like, let's fix up our, you know, manufactured home. We painted it, we furnished it. We, you know,
fresh duct tape.
We did everything new, got new soil, you know, hit the beds up, built the beds, built the sweat lodge, and we started just doing more prayers with the natives because we were feeling like the natives were more in tune with our vibes of just doing a prayer so we could set intentions, because I pray a certain way. So I was like, I don't want people to be like, oh, he's over here talking about TP ceremonies, but he's not really into that, and what is peyote and all that. And I was like, so I sort of just started just dealing with the natives once COVID hit, because it was more of a time of coming together and getting with your spirit family, because it was sort of like a trying time. And we just started, you know, planting our seeds from there. And then my wife was like, all right, we can open up the space again to start bringing people. So in 2021, started back with a little small group. And from there, we were like, we just want to stick to custom hosted groups. And I was just like, I'm going to take that campaign and now I'm going to just shift it. And so I was like, I got my proof of concept. So I saw some land at Applegate. And then my buddies was like, since you're farming, man, we're going to give you some money. They're going to give you these grants. The government, you know, you're a black farmer, but there's no organic vineyards over in, you know, Applegate, Oregon. So I was like, I'll be one of the first people to get one. So literally, I met a lady, her husband was over the water rights and committee in Applegate, and we got 65 acres with water rights and 95 acre piece in Applegate that we secure in June. And basically I'm about to start doing some IPO works, and investors are going to jump on board, and we're going to do a whole organic farm hemp eco village. So that's what I'm into now. With a vineyard in it. Vineyard is going to be the staple, because obviously it's no vineyards that's black owned, self-sustainable. So our premise is self-sustainable gardening and grapes.
Yes. Like I was saying yesterday too, when we were talking about that briefly, like I mentioned, that's incredible that you're getting to do that. But, you know, also really sad that there aren't more black owned vineyards already. Like, what?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I think to keep it real, the statistics show that as the economy start going down with the actual, you know, inflation that is hitting us now, the depression, a lot of people who were small farms, which a lot of black farmers were small farmers, they didn't get the money. They didn't get no incentives. You know, they were promised all this stuff, and a lot of things just went to the wayside. So to make a long story short, a lot of the actual brands that are out, they come from overseas, and they'll white label them. So they'll actually pay for the name, but they'll get it, the wine to come from another vineyard. So that's how it was happening. So people will have names, but they won't have the vineyard. So now our concept is like, let's start with the grapes. Let's teach people how to deal with the grapes, but we want to do a whole biodynamic growing concept with the crystals. It's one biodynamic organic vineyard over in Oregon that's called Cow Tongue, and they're doing really well. So they're right down the street from us. Cool. Obviously, we'll be able to do some work.
Connect with their
they'll show us. They'll show us
and
how to do all of the upkeeping, because they got a real nice system.
They might be doing it, but one thing I've seen that's really neat in vineyards is incorporating sheep, because they keep the whole place mowed and fertilized at the same time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to run mowers or like worry about what a lot of people end up doing is spraying Roundup around the base root of the grape plant to kill the weeds around them, because you can't string trim there.
We're not going to do any type of chemicals. That's one thing with us. My wife is super stellar with her approach. We're going to do worm castings. We're going to have like a worm casting station. We're going to deal with the carbon imprints and do a lot of growing with hemp, to use that so we can get incentives from the government for doing the carbon credits. So I'm into that. We're building a lab.
I like when you mentioned the worm casting. Like, for myself, it was just kind of amusing. The first thing I pictured in my mind was you and your wife, like, on the banks of a river, casting worms out on a line.
Yeah.
Trying to pull in some fish for the day.
Well, where I'm at in the Applegate, there is hella fish, but we were gonna definitely have a lot of.
Yeah, you were saying a lot of salmon in the area and
known for salmon, known for trout, known for walleye, known for bass. But the salmon is really like the native staple signature food, because the Klamath starts down by like Happy Camp, which is in Cali, and they have these actual ceremonies where the natives come together. They call it the Middle Earth ceremonies, where the fish should go all the way up to the Klamath where I stay at, to the hatchery. But they just did away with the dam, so the natives are like really sad, because a lot of the salmon are not going to be able to swim up and go to their natural way of doing their thing. So a lot of them are going to just be, it ain't gonna be provided for. So the dam, actually, in our area, it was a debate for like 10 years. Are they gonna do it or are they not gonna do it? So we just got one dam now, but they let all the dams are now done with the area of Klamath. But in Montague, where I stay at, it's considered to be very microclimate based, 2,500 to 3,000, altitude up. So we're on top of a mountain, which that's very cool. Then you get to see a lot of cool star constellations, a lot of the galactical family, a lot of spaceships, and it's just a portal. So
I like that. I like going places where you can see a lot of spaceships.
Yeah, they're there. And a lot of people come to Shasta, if you look it up, as a place to just not only ground in because of the energy, but it's a power source center, so like a vortex. So you see, like, the Dalai Lama just bought this springs area called Stewart Springs, which Dr. Emoto did the test, before he passed, on what's the most alkaline water with the crystal test, and Stewart Spring scored the biggest one out of all of it in the whole world. Yeah. So we feel proud about where we're at. It's a lot of water there.
Where exactly, so like you're in Oregon, but like Shasta, you can see it across from.
No, I'm in Montague is in Northern Cali, so Northern Cali.
That's close to where Ashland is in Oregon, though.
Yeah, so this is how it works. Basically, our land is on Northern Cali side. We commute from Ashland to our land because we have a house in Ashland, Oregon, because the kids are homeschooled. And obviously the community of Ashland is bigger than Montague. Yeah. Ashland has like 25,000 people. Montague has like 6,000 people. Yeah. So that's the different dynamic, and we want our kids to be around culture. So obviously we have them in Ashland. Yeah, and then they starting to have a lot of more people come.
But they get that rural experience too.
They get the rural experience. And that's where I'm saying I actually travel back and forth each day, because of the girls having activities, gymnastics class, soccer. Lemuria and Lotus is my two daughters that stay with me and my wife, Kamara, on the land. And they run the actual farm itself, because we have the goats. They have their chickens, and they have like the Easter egg chickens that lay the eggs that are assorted. So they sell their chickens, eggs at the market. Yeah. And my wife has a sea moss company called Mermaid Moss. And then I have my mushroom Sporeversity, platform coming with, using the NFTs.
I love that concept, Sporeversity. Yeah.
And using the spores, because the spores want to work with us, and teaching people the dynamic of how the spores on a psychedelic level could be used with the whole food mushrooms like maitake, reishi, cordyceps, and turkey tails. Compound, making them nootropics, and combining them together to heal people,
Yeah, literally like reconnecting and developing circuits in our brains that haven't been connected yet
for years.
Yeah,
but
they've taught us since I was a kid about how we as humans only use like 35% of our brain.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing, and this to keep it right back to the source, and how the spores are on every planet, obviously, And when we first came to the earth, we literally, the natives, believed that that was our real food source. Terrence McKenna may have spoke of it as this is what we knew as our food, which obviously will make sense because mushrooms can actually pull things out of the earth, extract things out of the earth on a mushroom side of remediation, which Paul Stamets is into. And then you can eat it as a whole food. There are poisonous mushrooms, obviously, but the fungus and the mycelium and the mycology effect of the nature's internet is super bigger. What you see outside of us, what's going on inside the earth with them is totally on the next level. Like, it's more evolved to the point where you would say it has to be perfection. There has to be something that's not being spoke of that these mushrooms are tapping into, for healing, your neurology, the cell life, giving, people hopes to deal with dementia and Alzheimer's. I've also heard people curing stage 4 cancer. Turkey tails are being used for that, reishi. And then just to keep it simple,
there's just an intelligence to it,
Man,
there's this
next level,
this connection between not just humans but like all life, like in the different ways it affects things and utilizes our different forms. And if you're a super intelligent being, like, the human body is a great Earth exploration vehicle.
Correct.
Especially at this stage of life. We can jump in planes and be on the other side of the planet. And extracting something from a forest there. And ingesting it into our bodies. It can, like the concept, from a biological perspective. It's funny, on the last live show I mentioned it, so I can kind of correct what I said there, because it came out like I was talking about lichen.
Oh, okay.
And how it's comprised, they've taught us in schools of 2 different species, a fungal species and an algae species. In the last live show I did, I heard myself say a bacteria and a fungus, so I wanted to correct that here too. But what the third thing is that biologists have known for years now, but it's not commonly taught, is that there is a third entity in the lichens. There's a bacteria that grows there only in these different species.
And is it a bacteria that's really more what they call it perennial, where it serves a purpose, or is it a bacteria?
It's part of the whole system of the entity of a lichen, which is comprised of 3 different kingdoms of species as we know it, right? And that turned, like from a biological perspective of how life adapted and became how it is now. That's my safe way of saying evolution,
I got you. Without making it super scientific, but I mean, we say love evolved. That's a term that I say, but I get what you're saying. We just, and another thing, me and my wife believes, and just a lot of practitioners with the mycology. The mycology are the extraterrestrial beings. It's extraterrestrial because it's terrestrial here on this plane, but it has extra superpowers. And once you interact with that superpower, that's you. So you're intergalactically charged by these antennas or spores, which we call them. I got names from fungi on down to, spores are us, mushrooms are us. And I've been doing these campaigns in the cities called antidote. So the real antidote is love, but once you start getting with your antidote of loving yourself, obviously the next antidote is going to be the food. So I'm like teaching people from the music to the food to ingesting the mushrooms is going to lead you back to your true self and nature. So we're going to start doing some camping trips down in the cities, and to keep it really simple, bro, and right to the point, most black folks, indigenous folks, believe that mushrooms are drugs, which I don't know where that came from. The programming must have made them believe that, but it became a stigma. So when you come into these places, they'll say, oh, you're doing drugs, and I'm like, well, I don't get how you calling it a drug. I think it's really called mycology, and I think you need to look it up. I think the program, the media has, programmed us to believe in it's a drug. I said, in any drug you ingest, it comes from a plant. So I get what you're saying, but it's not on that context. So I have to educate people it's not a drug, It's actually a food source.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like what about sugar? Like if you get into it, sugar could be a drug. It's very addictive. You want it again.
Too much of it. and alcohol, you know, which definitely, you know, alcohol is considered to be alcohol, but I consider that a drug because it is very addictive.
I mean,
you know,
and if you're talking about indigenous cultures too, like that's definitely been a poison too.
Yeah, a lot of people that are from my side on the West Coast that deal with peyote, they use the actual peyote plant, which is another subject, you know, cactus, grandfather peyote, to get off of drugs, to get off of meth, heroin, and alcohol. You know, so I do also those ceremonies too. And I became a part of a chapter called the Polecat chapter, which is absentee Shawnee native elder. He's from Ohio. His tribe went from Ohio to Canada. They migrated from Canada down to Mexico, and then they was fighting, and then they ended up in Oklahoma. But what's funny is Uncle Freddie is his name. He's absentee Shawnee, but they originated out of Ohio, and I was born in Ohio. So we had this real connection when we met like 10 years ago. And his family is my family. He showed me the peyote ways, and I do a lot of work with the fire keeping, and also like making sure we clean up when people get well, and the prayers and the drum, and just acknowledging on a humble prayer level what the peyote can bring to us, which that's another topic of dealing with your ancestors, tapping into, you know, nature, which is alive and well, and just homing in to, you know, your first line of defense, which is your ancestors, your lineage, and the heartbeat. So yeah, man.
That the line of defense, it brought it all right back to like where it's just like imagining like we're just out here in this like beautiful pastoral little place right now, leaning against the fence. We are,
you know? and we are in the fence, but on the fence, but above the fence, and elevated in the air too.
I would love it if all the fences went away. I like how your story about coming to your land, like the dogs were like the first things. That was for me as well, like having a border collie that kind of ran the border. I thought that was why they were called border collies, because like they learned the border of the property here really quickly.
Yeah, quick, yeah.
Like I'll go and like leave for a day and come back and they're still here. Like I didn't have to tie them up or anything.
No. Our dogs are freed up. They're Agbash, they're guardian dogs, and now that we have the goats, and they just had some puppies. They're terriers, Siberian terriers. They work from 12 to 6, dealing with the coyotes, dealing with the other predators, whatever it is. They hear it, but in where we live, it's a valley of mountains, so it's like all you hear is a New Bay and Aurora barking like alert, like alert. It sounds like super loud. Yeah. So we over here, like we always say, we got our natural guardians and stuff.
Code red.
I know, right? What? He's like, I hear it. It's time for me to work. But yeah, man, the dogs were first. But what was interesting after we got the dogs, we started growing food. So this year, we're getting more into doing our greenhouse work because we had a 4 seasons. So we're doing a lot of microgreens. Yep. And we're jumping into a lot of cool things with the lion's mane, because my wife has this vision of feeding people, but she's really stuck on these lion's mane and oyster mushrooms.
The lion's mane mushroom.
So we're on that this year, and we're growing them inside our barnyard. It's the best food ever. Like I'll share it with you. You could make lion's mane taste like your plant-based steak, plant-based lamb, whatever. Like
I had a magic forest moment where I had found this large lion's mane, and in my pack all I had brought with me was a bit of dried smoked salmon. Just a little bit, you know, like if that was all I had to eat for myself for like a day or two,
you were good.
I could have been good. Well, I took that piece of fish and all that, the lion's mane, cut it up into a pot that a friend of mine had on the trail with us. And I found some wild onions, you know, the onion grass, the wild garlic stuff. Put some of that in there. And I collected some water leaf that was coming up.
So everything was right in your right there. You had a feast, bruh.
I ended up with that one little tiny fish, dude. It was totally like one of those like holy Christ moments, man. I was like, I just had this little pack of smoked fish, and I just made like a soup that fed like 15 people.
Oh, dope.
It's like I just had this little pack of smoked fish, and I just made like a soup that fed like 15 people.
Oh, dope.
This is a Wake the Farm Up soup moment. Yep, you could make a soup with some mushrooms, or you can make a soup with some fish.
Yeah, that's sort of like how they said that Jesus came with the manna. The manna was actually the allegory of him spreading the elements, because alchemy is in elements. You just said the fish was able to feed 15, but the lion's mane was also a protein, if you want to be technical, one of the biggest protein sources. But that was right in the wild, and you had all of the things to pick from. So you had a real first supper, not to get into the religious aspect, but it was a first supper for...
That little bit, I like that, the first supper.
Yeah, not
like
the last supper.
I like having this supper, you know what I mean? It's like, it's this supper, now time, baby.
Yeah, man, so
it made that fish, that little bit of fish made all that lion's mane straight up taste like, people say it tastes like lobster. When you got a little bit of actual fish flavor cooked into it.
You can, bro. Like, I'll keep it real. I've had lion's mane that tastes like shrimp. I've had lion's mane.
They were looking for the claws and stuff. They're like, is there any shells in here? I'm like, no, it's going to be cool, man.
It tastes like calamari because you can cut it out and put the fish. Anyway, it's so diverse. So we're dealing with the food, mushrooms this year, and my campaign is going to be, the Sportversity, platform, or we're building a blockchain where we got digital currency.
Wake the farm up, what?
And allow people to come with their exchange, debit card, credit card, and eventually digital currency, full on, protected, and decentralized.
Complete.
And I'm doing that only because I don't care about the government in terms of the banking system, because the banking system is very set up to a point where that is actually fictional, and people need to learn how to really take back what was simply theirs. And the first debt from me to you is death, So if you really look at the system, it's set up where it's very 3D, and 3D as in, you live, then you die. Like, all that is just like...
Yeah, they tell you this, that, other thing.
Yeah. It's too many
I've been questioning
points.
That,
Too many pointing you to do this and that, and if you don't do this, then this will happen. The outcome is already set up where it's finite. It's not infinite, it's finite. So it's static. So I've learned how to look outside of my ways. Me being the first person to leave my Cincinnati zone, go to New York, go to Miami, and live in the mountains of, North California and Oregon. And people say, well, what made you do that? And I'm like, guess what? I just listened to my spirit and my ancestors, and it brought me out that way. And I had to be connected to there, because I wouldn't have no land there. I wouldn't say I'm a land steward. I wouldn't do the prayers. But I feel connected to that side. And the West Coast, to me, is symbolic to, in ancient times, to be where all the water is. So that flooding and that aspect of when things shift back to on Pangea's side, we know that we're protected on the northwest corner.
You'll have some fresh water coming still.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I really hope so. I never, I'm kind of been watching this weather war concept where it's starting to, I guess, be a more open conversation about the science behind weather manipulation and how governments of the world are using that to ensure rain for themselves in certain places, and put out forest fires.
Yeah, exactly.
But in doing so, it's definitely something that's altering climate.
Yeah,
it's not often
and it's not conspiracy. It is not a conspiracy either. You're right. We could look at this dynamic right now. The sun is out right here, but if I went over to where I'm at in North Cali, my wife just told me yesterday it was snowing.
What?
And she was like, "There's no way it's supposed to be snowing, Divine." She's like, "Literally, the sun was out 6 hours before. Then at nighttime, it's snowing." And literally, nobody can plant their food because you obviously can't plant when it's snowing, but it has to be some manipulation. Some people call it HARP or whatever the case may be, but I agree with you. I don't know all of the stuff, but I do know that we can tell that it's a dynamic of manipulation that the government or somebody's dealing with. And the technology is here too, because you can't live in the technological age of enlightenment and Aquarius and think that you don't have AI and you don't have things that are actually on a robot level or symbiotic sentinel level that's coming with destruction. So I look at it as it's a divisive way of getting people to not deal with each other And when it's planned that way, it's like a pandemic. We got to be able to see outside of the pandemic, because the pandemic is a actual program. Everything is programmed. So I always say, if you believe that that's your program.
I hadn't heard that word in a while. That's a fun throwback, the pandemic word.
Yeah.
That one cracks me up.
Yeah, the pandemic, because it was planned, and a lot of people got to remember that.
That's straight from the COVIDian times, man. Like,
bro, and it showed people that you could go right back to what considered to be, a lot of people's like, oh, concentration camp. Everybody stayed in the house. I know when they told them to stay in the house,
they trained it,
and everybody did what they told them to do. And people won't get on the planes, and people were like, I gotta have my shot, or unless I don't get a job. And I'm looking at everybody like, you actually got a shot?
Man, the people that were getting on planes, it was cracking me up. This one guy got a ticket from New Jersey to Arizona for $7.
Bro,
That's
used to
like a burrito.
Bro,
like
that was so, it was so cheap. I said, I was like, I could get on all the planes. I was in first class all the time. It was like 25% capacity, 30% capacity.
You pay like $38.
Bro, I was
first class,
literally getting in on for free because my buddy worked for the airlines, and I was able to get on. And he was like,
the flight attendants were feeling lonely. They're like giving out gas tickets.
Everybody like, come on, jump on board. But that was just interesting to see how the planet actually went through how learning how to meditate, bro, and seeing. That's when I learned that what we were doing was very attractive, because everybody was like, oh, you got your land, and oh, you got your food, and oh, you weren't affected the same way people. Nah, bro, like, actually, we didn't have to wear masks in Montague. Like, they didn't mandate it. They didn't make you do any masks.
Like if it was 2020 and we were sitting out here right now, do you think we'd have to wear a mask?
Correct.
Right?
That's why I was like,
the dog
what?
got mad when I said mask. Hey, come on now. Get out of here.
He's like, man, the mask, what the hell? But yeah, man, it was interesting to see that some people were saying, oh, if you don't have the mask, then, you're affecting me. And I'm like, how can I affect you when my space is dictated by, like, what I take in freely? Like, I can affect you by breathing. Yeah. But that's what you're trying to say. I affect you because I'm not wearing a mask. No, actually, you're affecting me.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse me, you're taking up my oxygen. Like, really? Like, are we having this conversation? Is that where we're at in this dystopian world? Like, there's not enough room in this building for us both to breathe in here right now.
Bro.
Can you, you've been in here for 15 minutes. I want to turn. Come on, I want to try on those pants over there.
It was a trying time, but it gave me like a breath of fresh air to just let me know that I could give thanks for my land and the elements, and not having to depend on the government. Like, I didn't have to go to Walmart. Walmart doesn't exist in Ashland. They don't have any stores, but Wairika does have Walmart. But Ashland don't allow.
Is that Wairika's?
Yeah, Wairika is sort of like the gold mine state. It's a lot of energy there because of the Masonic order. A lot of hillbillies took over that area, the indigenous people.
Try to get the gold and stuff.
Yeah, and it's still some gold, like in the water and the rivers, and a lot of that mining time, they have like caverns under
They still down there with like pans.
They're panning.
Like big beards and stuff. I think they use their beards to like pan gold with. Like they filter out the water with it.
It sounds like they probably can. Maybe they're on some like using their beard, or maybe they're using, their butts, but they're doing it all. Yeah. They're still panning.
They do probably like gold colonics, like the old fashioned way with the gourds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? Like the Oceanic way where
you use
take the gourds and go down the stream and then it flushes your colon out. Yeah, I hope they're doing that.
I would hope
so. They probably need to.
They would definitely need to free up. But man, it's been interesting just being over on that side where the West Coast, to me, like I said, it's the frontier of the elements, but it's real freed up right now. And I'll just say this to you, I would never change where I'm at because I live on a mountain, and I can see that the inheritance of just my progression of journeying has took me to a place of peace. I used to be in chaos when I was in the city and paying bills, but with me having my own land, I don't got to pay no bills. I got my trust, I got my assets set up, and I'm showing my kids, like, generationally, if you put your hands in the soil, we can go anywhere in the world and don't have to depend on anybody. So next year I'm campaigning to go to Africa, and I'm gonna set up some solar farms, but I'm gonna set up a music complex, and I'm gonna bring my family from the western hemisphere over to the eastern hemisphere, and we're gonna start doing music festivals.
I would love to study the plants and herbs there.
Oh man, I'm going to Tanzania, and I'm stoked. Zanzibar area, Arusha area, and I'm gonna learn a lot about what's there. It's a lot of cool THC plants that I heard are growing wild.
That's the one part of Africa I've been into. Morocco.
Northern.
I had been to Spain, and you could get across the Strait of Tangier, like there by Tangier.
Tangier, okay.
And Strait of Gibraltar, that's what it is.
Okay.
And it was like $30 at the time, 30 euros or whatever, which is similar at the time. And yeah, I just went over there, went to Africa, and yeah, there was definitely fields of hemp, like
ganja, right?
Ganja,
hash,
hemp.
Yeah,
like hash hemp.
Yeah,
like hash
they're
was
really
very
big,
abundant and like very green.
They big over there.
The hash in Europe that I had seen earlier before going there was like mostly like had like darkened and browned. Like there it was like
green,
so bright green.
Yeah, northern Africa, which is Morocco area, they're known for hashies, and also you got to remember that Spain, they're super heady with growing the plants, because they weren't stopping it from manifesting. And from what I hear, it's not stopped in Africa at all. It's more like a hush thing, but the people are definitely into the plant.
Yeah, they weren't into alcohol there. It was, I heard call of prayers in the morning on the PA systems throughout the city. So
nice.
I was in Casablanca.
Okay.
Very inspired for me, which is something in my journey through Morocco inspired how I did my farmers markets for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
On how I felt the vibes there, how I saw the things displayed.
Yeah.
The colorfulness of the people.
Yeah.
And how shiny and bright they were, and how well fed they were too, because they had so much food.
Bro, abundantly.
So
like
much
no
food.
lack. It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
And they don't eat as
the
much
money
too.
was not part of their culture much, so, but they had so much food.
Well, that's great, because I've never been to North Africa, but I would love to go there. I feel like an ancestry tied to North Africa. My ancestors come from West Africa, Mali, Africa side, and also connected to the Dogon tribes, which are over in Senegal and the area of Nigeria, Dahomey and Benin. But just on that coin, I'm going back to Mount Kilimanjaro, which is a volcanic mountain. And Shasta is a volcanic mountain too, so it's parallel to each other. And I have some family ancestor ties with the Maasai people that grow food, and they're the ones that jump, and they have the beautiful beads, and they jump and levitate to 6 feet. They jump up and they do the ceremonies. Whoever jumped the highest, wins the bride, and they have their customs.
Wow.
But they have the biggest farm. They got the farming dialed in over in Tanzania, and I'm gonna be dealing with them and just learning a lot about that area. So I'll be heading out to Africa for the first time September this year, and then next year setting up shop. So I want to do it where it's north, east, west, and south. If I could do it here, I could do it there. So I'm going to literally show people like our culture is always accepted wherever we go. So they're waiting for us there. They're waiting for us down in South Africa, So I'm going to go with what I did here and evolve it to there and bring my music, my artistry, my peoples that are my artist family over there. And we're going to have some dope festivals. Nice. East meets West. And the concept is just bringing everybody together.
What kind of things do you like seeing when you bring a festival together?
I think the biggest thing that I like seeing is the indigenous aspects of people's culture, and showing their aspects from the native side, from the Asian side, from the Pacific Islander side, from the Irish side, from the European,
wherever you're at,
So bringing that to the table, but making sure it's encompassing the diaspora. So I'm more like about the diaspora, the multiculturalism, because we all got everything in us. People will say, well, you look that way with the skin, but I'm like, bro, if you look at all your DNA, the DNA has a multicolor of colors. It ain't just one color, like your blood and the veins are different colors in your body. So you're rainbow, in all honesty, but your outer shell is what people would denote you as. Oh, you're this color and that. I'm like, that doesn't exist. So we
it's
say
kind of like if you wear a certain outfit, you know, like me in a suit, people are gonna look at me and be like, they're either gonna be like, hey, is that the VIP parking guy, or like, oh, that guy's dressed nice, like maybe he just got married or some shit like that.
Yeah. But the looks,
they'll probably want, like, you know, like certain people might be more inclined to be like, hey, can I have $1? Where if I showed up in my like work clothes, you know, my overalls and a ripped up flannel or something, and like my hat kind of tilted sideways, I'm tired from wheelbarrowing all day kind of look, you know, like I might be asking for $1 before anybody else does, you know what I mean?
Because you done worked out, you know what I mean? But it's all about, like you just said, I'm meeting people from their heart space. So that's sort of what I see as the biggest thing. A lot of my spirit family is from multitudes of all areas, from the back hills of, you know, the Cascades to the Klamaths to the, you know, Rogue Valley area to Umpqua. Then we go down to San Diego. Then we go to Mexico. My whole point is it's a plethora of people that I tap into.
Yeah, you're a bridge builder.
And I like to manifest a lot and bring people together. The older and
I feel like
the youth.
it's sweet, like getting to be with you, like, you know, in real life here, like after years of our different like wizard adventures, you know, like formulating our meditations and formulating our own potions and you know, our stories. You know, I call potions another word for story. You know, you're putting the ingredients together, and when somebody wants to take it in, it's a story. You know, and like, here we are, like, you know, wiser wizards, like, reflected on like some journeys, and
we're bringing it.
I know that like the 20-something-year-old selves that we were at that time would be stoked about where we gone.
Oh man, I remember it was a funny story you said where you apologized too, which was funny. I didn't even think about it, but we were super raw foodists, and I think I had bought some cashews that are like roasted.
Yeah, they were roasted.
And you threw it away, and I was just like, I wasn't even tripping. I was like, whatever's clever, because whatever you're in flow with, I'm in flow with. But you were like, those are chemicals, and I was just like, bruh, at the end of the day, that's what I had access to. That's what I bought. Yeah. But it was just... I
need some roasted cashews today, right?
Bro, I need some, bro. But what I'm saying is, we've been able to look at each other as reflections of each other and evolve it. We're brothers always, so we knew that. Yeah. But it was just good to hear you was doing a podcast, and I was like, man, Wake the Farm Up, that's a dope-ass name. And then I was like, oh, man, I got to get on it. You know what I mean? I got to drop something for you. And then, you know, the music and the musicality, that sparked the nerve because I do spoken word and I always been an artist, went to performing arts. So, yeah, our evolution has been our art. I think that's what took you on your journey, and the art took me on my journey, and it led us back to, you know, where we at right now. We grounded in.
I love how connected to the land and the earth we both are, and also how connected we are to reaching out to the greater community all across the globe and connecting and sharing our creative, you know, inspirations we've had from our journey.
Yeah, and it's been interesting to just see your evolution. So, and not to be on some like, oh, I didn't know you were. No, bro, we were creative geniuses. Like, and we always looked at the creativity first to go into the unknowns, and that's what I felt helped me out, because without my creative spark and my imagination and me meeting brilliant people around when I was younger, I wouldn't have left the Midwest area. I left, and I come back, but I come back just to see my family. But my calling is, like I told you, I'm a prophet everywhere else, but not home. And not to be funny, I would love that to also continue, because I don't want people to look at me as anything. I just want to do my work. I get the message out to my peoples, and whoever's called, you know, to do the work with me, I'm always there for them. But it's a humble prayer. I'm not asking nobody to do anything. It's just like, this is where my peace is. This is where my family is. This is where we're edging out our community. We want more people to come, obviously, but we also know that the common community is this, us being happy and being self-sustainable. That's what this is. Like, you on the farm and being out here with your dogs, kicking it, chilling. We ain't got no worry. We sunshine beaming.
There's nettles glowing over
Nettles
there.
glowing, you know, the trees, the giant trees, the elders talking to us. They're like, oh, come over and hug us up.
Elderberry bud leaves.
Elderberry buds, you got the pawpaws, bro. You had the honeyberries, bro. All that is like dope. Then you got your goats. So it just gives me like a lot of gratitude that you're holding it down. Wouldn't think you wouldn't be holding it down. And just to see us coming back together as more wiser, you know, when you could become 40 and older, we're now in the wise chair seat. Like I say that we have to respond to our abilities. That's responsibility. And we're doing it well because we have our kids now. And we also have our bigger kids that we got to deal with, our bigger kids we got to deal with. Then we also have our elders we have to deal with, make sure that they're taken care of. Then we got to take care of our kids that are actually wanderers and making sure they come back to their paths, because, you know, it's a journey. So yeah, we're holding the space, man.
Mothers having babies still out there. There's like fathers that have fathered babies and are not sure how to like handle that.
Yeah.
And just need some like reassurance that they're okay. They can do it.
They can do it and not be, you know, ostracized or, you know, have to take the defense, because a lot of people don't like to deal with self-criticism. And I'll just share this with you. I think that's a lot of the issues that we're having right now, that we can't really face our dark self or our self that may be shadowy, that's got the fear, that's dealing with pride, that's dealing with, you know, scared to change. But you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And then I always just tell people, like, your biggest enemy is yourself. So once you start really acknowledging that, you know, taking accountability for that, then life will open up things for you where you're like, I really was tripping, and maybe I should trip, you know, trip more and trip on some.
Let's take them on a trip with this.
Yeah, that's how we supposed to. Yeah, it's a trip. But yeah, man, thanks for having me out. And you know, the trip, you know, which is back to us, you know, getting back into our live sipping days. You know, we got the teas, and also the organic, you know, breeze that's flowing. Man, we here, and we present.
We're just like flowing with this, like, I mean, this conversation that we're able to get recorded is definitely like a pie slice of a brilliant conversation that we've been getting to have together here, catching up. I look forward to like the building that we can do. We rekindle the fires that we have and we've shared and lit together. And, you know, stretching out between us, and there's a whole country.
Bro, it's vast. And it was funny, when I came out here the last time, I sort of made you remember about those foxtail mushrooms, that
the foxfire
mushrooms, that literally it was a bioluminescent mushroom. And we actually had an epic night in the hut tent that you had made that was on your family's land.
You see that too?
And we went out in the woods, man, and I'll never forget, we had did some DMT, and all I just remember is us just walking like on a journey, and we were just like, man, look at all these amazing colors, and look, where are
There's
we?
lightning on the floor.
I can't believe it's
the forest.
We're in Indiana. No, we're not in Indiana. We were just actually in a whole dimension that was just set up for us to be in, because we wanted to manifest that, and it was full of joy, colors, love, and light, and the energy was there. So I agree. Like, I'm glad I came and reconnected with you here, and you always are welcome to come out to, you know, the West Coast, and we there for you, waiting for you to come, you know.
Would you be willing to share a prayer song for the podcast?
Yeah.
Like one that would, you know, good and feel safe with being shared on a podcast.
Yeah,
I know you got ones that
I could just do one right now, and basically we call this one of the peyote prayer songs. Peyote, which is grandfather peyote, and basically it goes like this. Hananane, hananane, wakianane yo. hananane, hananane, wakianane no, hanaki no nae no ne, hanaki no nae no ye, waka he, waka ha, hey yana ne o ne, hayaki o e nae no ne, hanaki o e nae no ye, waka he, waka ho, waha, hey yana, hey no ne. So that's the victory song, and it's basically giving homage to each round that you do in the peyote sit. It becomes a little bit more enduring, but because of you enduring what our ancestors dealt with, each hour is a victory. So that's a victory song.
Yeah.
And it was from the absentee Shawnee language. And yeah, that was a peyote prayer.
What do you call that? The absentee Shawnee?
Absentee Shawnee is Shawnee natives derived from Ohio, but they were kicked out of Ohio just through colonialism.
Yeah, I know the story of the Shawnee.
And they went
living in here in Ohio.
Yeah, they went from Ohio to Canada, and then they went from Canada to Mexico, and then the absentee ended up in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They took on the absentee because they never became a part of the government. They were the ones that were ostracized the most.
Okay.
The government actually took on wars specifically for them because they dealt with the peyote. And that absentee is in front because their tribe is literally down to, like, I'll say maybe 2 more generations that are still available to hold the medicine. So I'm honored to be able to deal with Uncle Freddie, who's a rogue man that's able to carry the medicine, and his tribe has been holding that for the last 100 years and plus. Shawnee tribe, but absentee Shawnee tribe now. And yeah, that was an absentee Shawnee song that I shared, and that's a peyote song that I share. So when we do sweats, we also incorporate peyote into the equation, the teas. And peyote is cactus, because I know you're like, what is he saying? And what is he into?
People over there, that's what they were doing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
so
what's he talking about peyote?
Yeah,
tell us more about peyote.
Peyote, and then peyote is also in the mescaline family, and it's been known to assist elders as well as natives to deal with alcoholism, addictions, and you drink it and you do prayers and you get well. And when you get well, you let go of spirits. You let go of things that have held you back to get back into your source, your childlike self.
Drop the burdens.
Just
let it go.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Let them go. So that's it. And I'm just blessed to be able to have that prayer to hold up and to hold space with that prayer and those people. And yeah, that's what song resonated for me. When you asked me to sing, and just sending some love out to Uncle Freddie, and I'm pretty sure he's in the sweat lodge right now or at a teepee ceremony, because he's always doing his work and letting his medicine and his eldership, morph with the community and the tribe, and him just holding space. So yeah, sending out some love to Uncle Freddie Watkins and his family and the tribe over in California, and sending out some love to my family and my wife and my kids, as well as my moms and sister and my family in the Midwest, and my spirit family, and Elf's family as well in Indiana, because we're holding space out in Indiana. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity of just speaking, sharing my oral, her story, not his story, because it's a her story moment right now, because the oral tradition, it was always carried on by the females,
Mama,
and the mother nature, Mama. Matriarchs. Just can't forget that, the divine feminine and divine mother source. But yeah, thank you, Mama, for just holding us up and loving us up, and just continuing us to take us to our next phase of insights as well as wisdom keeping. And yeah, just shouts out to all of those elements, from the doorway in and the doorway out of the lodge. We say, aho, allay, you know, and give thanks, and grandfather peyote, and you know, sweat lodge, and you know, just those ways of, you know, the simple people, not getting into the back and forth about what you pay homage to, because somebody's God could be this rock right here and the soil right here, or it could be a cricket. So we don't get into saying this is how I gotta be and all that. We just,
I only worship metal things.
there we go. Stones, rocks, metals, crystals,
Metal forever.
pyramids, you know.
I only listen to rocks. I talk to plants. You're crazy, dude. What? You do what?
You have to.
What? Come on. You guys listen to metal and rocks and shit. Like, I can talk to plants. Come on. It's not that
Plants
crazy.
are definitely us. Plants are us. But yeah, man, so it's been a homage, and it's been a rekindling. Like you said, a reconnection. Means rebirth, reborn. So it's been a realignment. I'm glad I'm seeing somebody in my cell memory or sense memory that's more childlike like me, because the creative self is happening. Like last week, they said Pluto went from 100-year shift of things that were sort of like dormant, and people like, I'm gonna hide behind my, you know, Pluto is out. Like, you got to come forward, share your voice, speak your truth, and the creative urges and creative energy is hitting everybody from all walks. You can't stop it. The same as consciousness. Things are waking up, and the universe is waking up. The living consciousness is there, and everything is alive and well. So we are living testimonies of what's happening, man, in the new age of Aquarius and the age of enlightenment. Is just our living temple. So I always share with people, you know, your self-awakened gifts you should obviously share, and, you know, never look back, look forward, look ahead, and always show gratitude and be in a real position of just staying, you know, in flow and giving thanks for these elements. So thank you, man, and thank you for the food, the nourishment, your testimony, your energy, your fire, you know what I'm saying, your cooling, you know, fire, you know, all of the energy, the air, the water, air, earth, elements, the elementals. And ultimately, man, just your heart space being open. Elf, man, continue to do the work, man, and continue to hold that space, bro.
Divine Elohim, everybody. Up and out. Look, they're up out of their seats. Yeah, give it up.
Yeah, paying homage.
Yeah, thank you all for coming out to enjoy this amazing conversation and epic show and journey, and see you at the next show. And we look forward to visiting
Mount Shasta, Black Mountains Inn. Tune in. Oh, ShastaMeditation.com, Sportversity.com.
Look at.
We also tuning in this year with the new Fun Guys campaign, which is the NFT art, as well as the Green Gold Organic clothing line, which is a hemp, as well as Green Gold Organic clothing line. But ultimately, in Divine Organic Farms is the name of the actual vineyard we spoke of, and it's going to be in the Applegate. So tune in, tune up, tune out.
Drop on in like a seed. Drop on in now, down into the soil like a seed. Drop it down and then the worm carry it to the right spot where it can drop its root down further into the soil, where it can pick up things and it needs to grow and toil towards the sunlight too. Wrap us up there too. We gonna grow up, right? Like a tree, we gonna grow up right to the top where the sunlight. Wake the farm up. Yeah, in the sunlight. Out here in the jungle, just right, just feeling nice. The weather is sweet. I do things right, although that they don't always seem so neat. I know you need me, and I know I need you. That's how an ecosystem flourishes, and I'll be coming through when I do. It's chill, you know. So thanks for another Wake the Farm Up episode. Divine Elohim, check the footnotes on ways in which you can connect with him and ways in which we can keep connected with the Wake the Farm Up community here. So help us out, lend a hand of support. We're creating these shows for you. We're creating these shows to link and build bridges. Maybe we'll build the bridges at nighttime with the light of the bridges that we need to burn. Maybe we'll light the bridges all up and we'll build the most incredible bridges. Like seeds. Building them. Waking the farm up. Gotta come up from the ground. So yeah, check us out. www.coms. Wake the farm up. Busting through the ground and pavement in every town. WakeTheFarmUp.com. Do I hear WakeTheFarmUp. WakeTheFarmUp.com. What's up? We got Stefin101. Want to say peace out on it. Yo. Peace out. Wake the farm up.
This wild.